This has been a transformative year to say the least. There's been a ton of self-discovery and personal development, and although it hasn't been for the best of reasons, I think these past several stressful months for all of us have led for a lot of folks to go on that journey of self-discovery in figuring out how to live their life in the best way for them. I'm far from an expert here, but over the past decade or so, I've really given a conscious effort to live my life in a meaningful and positive way. These are a few habits and principles that I aim to live by. Fear is one of the biggest culprits that prevent people from changing in positive and meaningful ways. A fear of failure is a very real thing for everyone. Something I picked up from Tim Ferriss years ago was a term called fear setting. You make a list, whether it be mental or physical, and lay out the potential negative ramifications that would come along with the change you might want to make. Oftentimes, you can easily see a way you could reverse any worst-case scenario situation for a change that you want to make, therefore making it a little less fearful to move forward and a little less stressful to go for that extra goal that you're working towards. I've used this so much in the past, whether it be from my weight loss journey or quitting my job to pursue my own business or starting on YouTube and being a little bit more extroverted than I would otherwise be comfortable with. It saves me time and time again and has no doubt pushed my life further than just about anything else on this list. Your morning routine doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be permanent, but developing a little bit of structure and routine around your days, and more specifically your mornings, can really set the tone for a positive and effective day. Routines help preserve that precious time that you have and make sure that you get the most out of it, whether it be productivity or happiness. If you're not already grateful for who and what you have in your life now, you're probably never going to reach the goals of increasing your happiness or advancing your career. This doesn't have to be any specific prayer or meditation or anything like that, but you need to learn to appreciate the items that you have. You need to appreciate your body and your health as it is right now. You need to appreciate the meaningful people and relationships. Don't get me wrong, having a desire for more or a want for advancement is completely okay, but I think it needs to be balanced out with that level of gratitude at the core. If you can't appreciate what you have now, you're not going to appreciate whatever you're striving for in the future. We're going back down from the big ideas in the clouds for this one. It is so important to exercise regularly. And this doesn't have to be any sort of specific exercises. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to lift weights. You don't need to do intense cardio. Even something as simple of 15 minutes of walking every other day is more than enough exercise to keep your slow twitch muscles going and to keep your general health up. Speaking from personal experience, I spent most of my childhood being a morbidly obese and mostly sedentary person. I've seen both extremes of this, and I can tell you the benefits of exercise are so much more than the obvious physical health. It's a great way to practice that gratitude like we talked about before. Go for a walk in the forest or go for a walk around your city or your neighborhood and just appreciate the things around you. You get in some good exercise, you get in that gratitude, and it's really going to make you feel a lot better long term. We are in the golden age of free education right now, and I don't hear too many people taking advantage of it in the way that they should. When I started this YouTube channel back in 2016, I'd literally never picked up a camera outside of my phone. 4 years later, I do this professionally now, and hopefully my set and my audio and all of this stuff looks nice. I learned everything I know about videography strictly on YouTube. In just a matter of years, I was able to learn how to do it professionally without spending a dime on long-term education. There is limitless information out there for us on the internet, and I think it's really great to take advantage of it. And it doesn't have to be some sort of studying and learning. It can be more of a fun experience. In that span too, I've learned a lot about all of my hobbies. Lately, I've been getting into making cocktails and bartending at home since the bars have been closed for most of the year. Have fun with it, but always be striving to increase your range of perspective, increase your range of knowledge, increase your range of, emotional empathy. You don't want to lose that passion in life, and I think a lot of that passion comes from learning. Over the past few years, I've been kind of mentally transitioning away from that hustle mentality. I drank the Gary Vee Kool-Aid many years ago and was always pushing myself to the absolute limit time and time again. There's definitely a point to that limit where it stops being fun, it stops being enjoyable, it stops being productive. There needs to be some calibration though. It can't just be hustle, hustle, hustle 24/7. You need to make time for your mental health, your physical health, for your hobbies and your passions outside of work. You need to find that balance. So take some time and embrace some simplicity. This again can kind of round back to gratitude. If you're always striving for more, you don't stop and appreciate things as they are now. I am extremely guilty of this and far from perfect, but it's kind of a mindset shift I've been slowly taking over the past year or two especially. Flipping to the other side of the coin, I think it's really important to find some passion in life. This can mean a lot of things. Maybe you have a passion for your relationships and family. Maybe you have a really big passion for your work. Maybe you have a lot of really fun and interesting hobbies that you're extremely passionate about when you're not at your maybe more boring job. Find those passions and run with them. I think a lot of people kind of lack that drive and just settle into that complacent, boring, safe space. Like we talked about with embracing simplicity, there's definitely room and time and importance for some of that in your life, but you can't just have 100% of that sort of filler. It's always going to be different for different people. Some people need to work 2 or 3 jobs to pay their rent or to feed their families. There's not always going to be as much time as you'd like for those passions, but in my short 30 years on Earth, I feel like every time I get really in the zone with something that I'm obsessed with and passionate about, it's when I feel the happiest and it's when I feel my best. So if you haven't taken any time in a while, go follow some passions. Cooking is an incredible skill for a ton of reasons. One, it's really impressive for a significant other, really important if you have a family or if you want to just feed yourself and be more aware of what you're putting in your body, if you want to work on your nutrition or health. Outside of the basic, more literal things that we all think of with cooking, I feel like it represents a lot for me. I'm not always super passionate about cooking, but I go through phases where I just really enjoy my time cooking. And even when I'm not in that sort of zone, cooking is always a really great reminder for me to stop and smell the roses and to live a little bit more simply and to focus on the present real world in front of me. If you haven't really taken a lot of time to experiment with cooking, I would highly suggest you do so. And it's something that's always a work in progress. No one is a perfect cook. Have some fun, experiment with it. There have got to be other people out there with me on this, but don't forget to be happy. I don't mean to diminish or make light of actual mental health conditions, but even outside of that, I think a lot of people kind of get wrapped up in all of the stuff that they've got going on in their life, and you forget to actually be happy and enjoy yourself. I oftentimes have to wake up and remind myself that I'm deciding to be happy today. And I don't mean this to be any kind of pity party. It's been a stressful year, obviously, for everyone. But I think it's easy to kind of forget, even when I'm doing things I enjoy. I am someone that's always very future forward in my thinking and very separated from my physical reality around me. So if any of this sounds familiar to you as well as it does for me, wake up tomorrow morning and really think about deciding to be happy today when you go about your day. Decide to be happy, decide to enjoy your life. This ties into a lot of the other points that we've been making, but just make sure to make that conscious decision. Sometimes you really need it. And in a similar vein, don't forget to love yourself as well. I know this is, my hippie Portland showing, but you need to make sure and love yourself. I'm also someone that's incredibly hard on myself a lot of the time. I oftentimes feel like I have too low of an opinion on some of the things that I do. It's something I'm working on personally, and I know it's a pretty common thing out there with a lot of folks. So make sure that you're deciding to be happy and make sure that you're really loving yourself. And that doesn't give you an excuse not to want to change or improve if you feel like you need to. But you have to appreciate where you are now if you want to appreciate the goals that you're working towards. I hope these helped. I know some of these got a little bit bigger of ideas compared to more practical tips. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video with just strictly practical habits and tips if you'd be interested. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.